Hey everybody, out here in the garage working on a little Allis-Chalmers B12 I picked up down in Illinois. Took a little trip the other day and completely and totally disregarding my governor's stay-at-home order. But had to go down here and pick up this old gal. She looks a little sad, and I'll be dead honest, this thing has been well used, but if you take a gander at it has a hydro lift, headlights, grill's in great shape. Let me close this guy up here. Has a high-low. Original seat that can be recovered. High-low, rear work light, rear lift, tiller drive. I mean, 2 sets of wheel weights. This thing is decked out. So this was definitely somebody's workhorse, and with all honesty, it has been very, 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 very well used. Not well taken care of, but definitely well used. Bevel gearbox itself has a substantial amount of play. Actually side-to-side action as well as rotationary play. Got worse after I fired up the engine. The high-low just kind of does its own thing there. It's not actually gripping on the shaft, so I gotta figure out what's going on with that. And this is actually a replacement transmission. Got Simplicity trans in there. It does actually shift fairly well, so I guess the trans is actually pretty good. Axle tube is a little sloppy, but not terrible. So some positives going on. Oh, there's the axle tube, my bad. Looks pretty good, no cracks, but definitely a little bit of slop going on. Steering, worse than a Dodge. Let's see here. It actually has a replacement motor. This is a newer style with the little kill switch on top. This actually breaks 10 horse, so complete wrong motor in any way, shape, or form, other than being a Briggs. But I actually used the pull start and a bit of carb cleaner. I actually got it run. I had it running for about a good solid 2 minutes. All sorts of stuff blown out of it, so it definitely has a mouse nest. So we'll see how that plays out. Hydro lift did not work. Might just be low on fluid. I'm actually going to disconnect that belt so I don't burn it up too bad. Actually, the thing is too, more than likely I'm going to be yanking this motor out of it. You can tell too, the frame has been cracked and re-welded a couple times. Those are some pretty goober welds on there. I'm kind of surprised they even went to that extent. Like, that's some pretty thick welds going there. And I may actually end up looking for a different frame, but at that point too, this might just be a part out tractor. One of those deals where it's a little bit rougher than I was hoping it would be. It does have a very, very cool dealer tag. It's embossed for Helmuth Implement Company out of Arcola, Illinois. I mean, that's very cool. It's got the diamond embossing there. So at the very least, that's going to go on the shelf. We're up on the rack over here. Got another dealer one up there, which you can't really see because I'm a hoarder. Look at Frank. The Rona got to him. Poor guy. But I'll be putzing around with this tractor more. I'm going to get the wheel weights off and get a different set of tires on it that actually hold air. And probably going to go up into storage for a little while. I don't want to rush into getting rid of it just yet. But I do want to try and get some of the steering slop. A lot of it's up there. A lot of it's down in the gears. So definitely need some love. And I'd like to find a different motor for it if I do keep it in one piece. It definitely does have a lot of character, having the different transmission and all that. And surprisingly, for as abused as it is, I'm going to say abused very lightly, it's a tractor. It's made to work. The grill mounts, these here are usually busted for the hood. Those are actually both in good shape. All the decals are surprisingly in pretty good shape. This one here flaked off, but that's a common spot. The mower drive is there. I mean, the hydro lift is all complete. It has every single belt guard that you could have on these tractors. So everything is still in place. Oh, that that ILO gets worse as I look at it. Luckily, there's another one sitting on the shelf. And you can actually find the planetaries pretty well. It's everything else that becomes kind of a pain to find. But if I do keep it, more than likely I'm going to look for a different frame because this one's been boogered up pretty bad. Or at least I'll grind those down and put a nice big heavy weld on it so it doesn't come apart. But also too, it looks like it's actually a little crooked. But we'll see. But overall though, I mean, the hood's not banged up, the grill's in perfect shape. The one headlight's banged up pretty good, but that's easy enough to replace. So, we'll see what the future holds for this little thing. And you know, I got a million and one projects, and throw a little other view over here, my pile of junk. Yeah, I mentioned the grill's actually in pretty darn good shape. The emblem is all faded off, and the grill sides are rusty, but the actual aluminum material, I mean, that's almost perfect. It needs a little straightening, but there's no cracks, there's no torn sections. Usually, you know, somebody will hit a stick, you know, just take a huge chunk of them out. Both plaques are there, even though this one is faded off. And traditional front end is super loose. But I've been busy out here getting everything cleaned up. My goal is to not have a yard full of junk anymore. So all this stuff has to go. All that stuff has to go except my mowers, scrap metal, and brush. So, alright, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll be doing more videos on this tractor. It's actually going to be kind of a fun project to resurrect it. And just the fact that it's so decked out. I haven't had a B12 before. Correcting myself, I've had one other B12 of all the tractors I've had, but it was a parts tractor, wrong transmission, no engine, missing a ton of stuff. So this is my first actual complete one, and it is an absolute dandy. The one thing I'm kind of kicking myself about, I sold my right-hand lift. I actually had a Alice right-hand lift for this thing, and ended up selling it because I'm a incompetent nincompoop. But anyways, have a good one, everybody.